Hello there everybody, Sabana92 AK Nightmare, and welcome back to Assassination Classroom. And how the hell do I describe what happened last week? Well, let's come up with a good idea. Nagisa cross-dressed. Nice. And now they have taken down not one, but two of, three specific assassins. I mistakenly referred to them as the big three. It's just easier for me to call them that. But yeah, I made a mistake. They're not the top three assassins. They were just three assassins that Lavro was referencing or referring to. That's my bad. So, one, very good with poison gas, failed miserably because he was outnumbered. And ironically, because of how easy he was to handle, Karma was able to sneak in some poison that he used effectively against the dude who's has a thing for his hands, I guess. Ridiculously strong, but overall that was a relatively short-lived but pretty good fight between the two. And now, how the hell do I describe this next guy? Ironically, because of that, I learned that he was responsible for that stupid meme that I've seen a few times where it's just talking about this ramen bowl and then he fucking shoves a gun in there. And I never knew what the hell that was from this whole time. And now I do. And my first thought is, oh, so that's American ramen. But now we're dealing with this weird guy who has a weird obsession with tasting his gun, and that's not a euphemism. I don't know. I'm legitimately weirded out by the guy. I'm I'm mostly concerned about the safety of the students because now they're going up against somebody that has a gun, an actual gun, not like the BB guns that they got, but granted, two of the students that were shown previously to have expertise with guns themselves were now given said guns. What I'm really worried about, though, the possibility. Well, I don't know. Kororo Sensei did say no killing, so I don't know. Again, I'm just really worried about the safety of the students. And we still don't know who this guy that did all of this is. We still have no idea who he is. I don't know. Is it too presumptuous to say that he might be the Reaper that was being recommended, or not recommended, being referenced earlier? I don't know. I don't know. I've already built up like this, or I've already built up like my own theory about what the Reaper is like, and I don't know if this guy is really the Reaper or not. If he is, I'll be slightly upset, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, let's finish up season 1. Well, surprise, surprise, my theory about who the big bad was going to be what turned out to actually be correct. And it turned out that it was indeed Takaoka, who actually slimmed down a little bit and fucking lost his mind, clearly. Enough to the point where, in possibly one of the cruelest things I think I've witnessed so far, having the antidote right there, making Nagisa get on his hands and knees and well, saying whatever the hell he wanted him to say, and then destroying the antidote. Now, we only have one episode left. There has to be some sort of antidote, or we may have to rely on Okuda. I think her name was Okuda. She's like incredibly good with science and chemicals and stuff. She might be able to reverse engineer and maybe recreate the antidote by herself. She has chemical knowledge, and part of me wants to think that she might be able to pull it off, creating an antidote. But I don't know. Just I will give credit to that. That was a very well done scene. Just seeing a very visible horror, which, granted, my sensations of feeling were more or less just pure unbridled hatred and possible bloodlust, but we're not going to talk about that. Enough to the point where Nagisa has broken and is actually threatening to kill Takaoka. with reason. I mean, he's got plenty of reason. This bastard is threatening the lives of his classmates, so yeah, and destroying the antidote. After all of that, you did it. You broke him. You got what you wanted, Takaoka. Now I hope it's worth it. I'm gonna go hop into the final episode of Season 1, and I will see you guys there. Hello there, everybody. Saban92, aka Nightmare, and now we are on the final episode of Assassination Classroom Season 1. Last episode, we learned the identity of the person who hired all of these assassins. Takaoka. That bastard from... How many weeks back was it that he showed up? I can't remember. I just remember I felt an intense loathing for the guy. And Lord knows that feeling certainly hasn't diminished. In fact, it's actually gotten even worse. Lord knows it's gotten worse. The guy's clearly unhinged. I mean, good God, he's horrifically unhinged. And enough to the point where he has destroyed the antidote and broken Nagisa. So, whatever Nagisa does, if he does actually end up killing Takaoka, I don't think that would really be any loss to anybody. Oh yeah, I don't think that would be a loss of it. Oh, fuck it. Actually, no. As much as I want Takaoka to suffer, I feel like, first off, him effectively killing Takaoka would actually be a very bad thing that would happen to Nagisa. Granted, Takaoka definitely deserves it, but if he gives in to his animosity and his hatred, then I feel like that would probably be bad for Nagisa. I realize is probably coming a bit of a tonal whiplash, considering I was wishing for Takaoka's death in the previous episode. But upon actual inspection, I feel like him giving in to his bloodlust and actually murdering Takaoka would not be good for Nagisa's character. Because the entire purpose of the assassination right now is just to take down Koro-sensei, not take down actual people. Even Koro-sensei himself stated that he doesn't want anybody, there will be no killing. He does, which makes me think that he doesn't want the students to experience the trauma of actually murdering another human being. Because I think I can make a reference toward this. There's, from what I understand, usually, I can't remember, please correct me if I'm wrong on this. Usually somebody like a police officer or a military person who has actually taken the life of somebody for the first time or something like that, there's usually psych evaluations and stuff like that, because something like that can cause trauma. So part of me thinks that Koro-sensei would never want the students to undergo any sort of trauma by taking the life of another person. Again, the focus is to kill him, not other people. So I'm just legitimately worried. I'm hoping that, God, what's her name? I am so sorry, I can't remember her name. She's had so much focus. She's really good with chemicals and shit. I'm hoping that she's able to kind of make like a reverse engineered antidote. Hopefully. I doubt it, but there's a little bit of hope there. Oh, my anger reached a bit of a boiling point when I saw that he blew up the antidote and seeing Nagisa snap. Oh, dear Lord. I'm worried. Okay, I guess that's one way to go ahead and end a season. That's actually pretty fucking great. Oh God, okay, that's great. Alright, so we basically saw yet another instance of how good Terasaka's character has become for this finale of Season 1. Managing to snap Nagisa out of his well-earned bloodlust and use the weapon that he had given him, the stun gun. I like this show's job with reincorporation. I do appreciate that. So after what I was afraid of was Nagisa giving into his bloodlust and actually killing Takaoka, which, upon closer inspection, it would be just giving Takaoka what he wants. But no. Fucking him up mentally in such a fantastically executed way by tormenting him with the smile that sent him spiraling, so that way it'll haunt his nightmares for years to come. Absolutely perfecto. Absolute subarashi. But everything about that was just executed so damn well. And ironically, as much as I hate to admit it, Takaoka did teach Nagisa what bloodlust was like. So I'm wondering how he's going to utilize that whenever we get to season 2. Now, however, let's get to the nit and gritty. Somewhat. Before I finish reviewing the rest of the show. Finish the rest of this episode. The virus wasn't real. Because the 3 assassins that were in charge of getting poisoning the kids actually used something that's more or less a common bug of sorts. Because even they were like, okay, this guy's kind of batshit insane. I'm not really up to the idea of killing students. Are you guys? You don't want to kill kids? Okay, let's make them feel like they're about. Definitely kind of takes away a lot of the tension, but I think it was done at relatively the right time, because otherwise, if that virus was real, then some of the students were inevitably going to die because there wasn't enough remedy for the rest of them. So I'm grateful that it turned out that the 3 assassins that were hired actually have like a set of morals. I do appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. Made them infinitely more likable, which is just great. Absolutely great. So we finally also got our obligatory beach, and just seeing Koro-sensei back in his full body felt good too. I realize it's been a couple weeks, but I kind of miss seeing him in his full glorious tentacled form. And ended with a relatively high note. Very high note. And it looks like the second season will be focusing on their second term. Okay. So I before I get into my final review, I'm pretty sure it should be obvious at this point. I'm not going to be going into season 2 yet, because there's a show that has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back ridiculously throughout the years. I started doing these reviews. And that is Bakano. We are actually going to be tackling Bakano as our next anime of choice. I know jack shit about it, other than it's apparently one of the few anime where its English dub is really, really good. So it's going to be very different for me to watch a show in its English dub rather than the Japanese dub, which I've gotten so used to. You guys have turned me into a sub-supremacist. What is wrong with you? Don't get me wrong, I like both English and Japanese, just saying. So I think what I'm probably going to do is I will probably have subtitles on for those, just in case. Make it a little bit easier for some people, and maybe a little easier. Now, we're not going to get directly into Bakano next week. For one thing, we got to get the thumbnail done. And 2, I kind of want to take a short reprieve, and then we'll get into it, feeling good, actually tackling it full steam. And finally, I'm probably going to see what I can do about actually buying the DVDs instead. That way I can see if there's any way I can actually kind of support the creator. And that way we're not dealing with any internet shenanigans. Possibly. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I'm definitely going to be buying, seriously, after, I'm done recording this and this is, uploaded, I probably will have already gone to, either Amazon or some other site and buy the first and second season of Assassination Classroom and Bakano. If I can. I don't know yet if they've got those on DVD or not. Anyway, that's what I wanted to let you guys know. So now, final thoughts on the show as a whole. Whenever I heard the name Assassination Classroom, I didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into. Realistically, all I knew about it was that there was a weird tentacle creature, which ended up becoming the most beloved teacher of all time, Koro-sensei. And that was relatively it. I didn't know much of anything else about what I was going to be getting myself into, other than the fact that a lot of people legitimately really, really like Assassination Classroom. Or, as some people in my server have been calling it, Ass Class, which that just completely changes the name, in my opinion. That just kind of I would prefer not to go into Irina's classroom. Just saying. But I would like to say I was relatively blind, aside from whoever the hell the tentacle creature was. Um, Getting into it, I like the premise that was being set up here. A super powerful creature, an artificial being that had destroyed the majority of the moon and was planning on destroying the Earth. However, there was a bit of a catch. He would destroy the Earth if a specific class that he selected was unable to kill him. It's a very interesting premise. Early on, very interesting kind of seeing how he was with the students and how they were a little reluctant at first to try to kill him and all that. That was actually pretty damn good. Watching, one thing that was really a reoccurring theme that I legitimately liked about this, I've harped about it, or not really harped about it, but I've absolutely just gushed about it the entire time, was the relationship between Koro Sensei and the students. How, aside from the fact that they were trying to kill him, he was arguably one of the greatest teachers that I think I've ever seen in anime, where he is doing literally everything, playing to all of the characters, their students' weaknesses, and trying to help them improve in a lot of the fields that they're suffering in. And with the fact that he's able to move at Mach 20, his teaching methods are they're top notch. They're superb. Seeing his enjoyment of being a teacher, his care into helping the students improve themselves, was utterly phenomenal. And seeing that almost all of well, maybe not all of them, but a good portion of the students each had like their own little episode where they got to have their own little focus, where they could shine and get some improvement of their own, was fantastic. It was really good. And granted, some of my most favorite moments is whenever Koro Sensei himself shows probably one of his greatest weaknesses, that he cares about his students so goddamn much. Those moments were so damn good. Seeing him get legitimately pissed that his students were being hurt or being threatened or anything like that was so amazing. Just seeing his unbridled rage. So fucking good. Oh, dear Lord. Everything about Koro Sensei is just utterly fantastic. And the little bits where you get to see like a lot of his weaknesses and they're taking notes about that stuff equally as good too. And Koro Sensei was just a delightful character all around throughout the entire show. He was just incredibly delightful. Every time that he was on screen, I was always looking forward to seeing what he had planned and what he was going to say. It really makes me wish I had a teacher like that. Granted, maybe not a world... Actually, maybe a world-destroying one. That would be actually pretty... preferably not the one where he actually would destroy the world, but... I don't know. I mean, being taught by a supernatural being would be pretty fucking cool, in my personal opinion. Now, let's see. The shifting opinions of some of the characters that we were being introduced to. So, Nagisa was a bit of a consistent one. He was definitely somewhat the main-ish character of sorts. Had a lot of focus on him. And seeing, like, his development and showing that he's a natural whenever it comes to assassination techniques. Seeing him break down Takaoka not once, but twice. Oh, the truest satisfaction. Most hated character, Takaoka. That's pretty fucking obvious at this point. The introduction of Karma. Bit of a cocky little dude, but he has the skills to kind of back it up. And having some episodes dedicated to how he had believed in himself so badly that he never even attempted to prepare himself, to kind of see himself lose a little bit, so that way he would be able to improve. Very good character development. Seeing the character development of Terasaka, the guy who is seemingly the most hateable individual in the very beginning, becoming one of the most likable at the end because he was able to snap Nagisa out of his bloodlust and think calmly about how to beat Takaoka at his own game, was fantastic. It was a pivotal moment in Terasaka's character. It was amazing. Oh god, okay. The teachers that were being introduced: Karasuma, Irina, Lavro, Let's not talk about Takaoka because currently he's in a mental. He's probably going to mental. There's debate. Fantastic. Introduction of Irina. Bit of a comical character, I must admit. She did seem like a bit of a comic relief sort of individual with the way that she was always being referred to as Miss Bitch or Bitch Sensei, which was, oh god, that was wild. But seeing that she technically did have skills to kind of bring to the table, because she wasn't just a comical character, she showed great skill in what she does as her own, with her own brand of assassination, and seeing how it helped the students was also pretty refreshing. Seeing her teacher Lavro, very interesting character. I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about him personally, so hopefully I'll be able to see more of him in season 2, I hope. Karasuma definitely grew on me quite quickly. Bit of a by the books kind of guy, but eventually started caring about the students in his own way, which was utterly fantastic. Seeing him kind of soften up and even somewhat be on speaking terms with Koro Sensei in some regard was pretty damn good. Okay, one more thing that I definitely want to talk about here. The school setting. The principal. I don't know how to feel about him. I legitimately don't. Very toxic family environment with his own son. Both of them are just equally kind of messed up in the head. I think that's pretty fucking obvious at this point. But the school environment, seeing how poorly that Class E was being treated in comparison to the rest of the class, really hurt to see these kids just being put down in such a way, which made it all the more satisfying whenever they were able to stand up to them on their own 2 feet and kind of get a little bit back at them. That was actually pretty damn good. It was incredibly satisfying seeing what I've referred to as the upper echelon of students, just seeing them be brought down a peg, destroying the system that the principal has set in place. And again, as much as I hate to admit it, the principal system kind of makes sense in some regard, but it's incredibly amoral or immoral. Wait, right word, immoral or amoral? I don't know. It's incredibly fucked and is very, despite the fact that there may be good results and all that, it's fucking up the student's mentality regardless. So, I'm really hoping that there's going to be like some sort of comeuppance in season 2. I'm not entirely sure if it will or not. And if this may come across as a bit, I don't know if this may come across as a bit shocking, but I'm kind of regretting going into season 2. Because as far as I know, there's only 2 seasons. And usually with that kind of tells me what I may end up witnessing at the end. And I really don't want to. I really don't want to. But overall, this is a legitimately fun show. I thoroughly enjoyed this first season. I'm really looking forward to starting season 2 whenever I get around to that. I don't know if it'll be after Baccano or not. I'd have to kind of check around, make sure, and see what other shows I've got scheduled that I really want to check out. But don't worry, we will come back to this. Oh, right. One more thing before I go. The introduction of Ritsu and... God, what was his name? He's basically Koro Sensei's oh god, I forgot his name! Their introductions were good. Ritsu's was a little bit better, because I really liked her story about this AI that started becoming much more human thanks to Koro Sensei's upgrades. I really liked that little side plot. It was actually quite good. I really did like that. And seeing how she's able to like hide in little phones, cell phones and all that shit was actually pretty good. And one last thing, Koro Sensei's abilities, fucking wild, man. Just ridiculously wild. But yeah, that was my personal opinion of season 1 of Assassination Classroom. It's definitely shot itself up as one of my most favorite shows that I've been able to watch. Also, the openings are catchy as hell. I'm gonna go back and rewatch them real quick. But anyway, if you all like this, thank you all very much for joining, and be sure to let me know whether it was good enough. You guys know what I mean. Anyway, as the tentacles do not lie, this was a fantastic story, and I look forward to seeing more. So thank you all very much for joining me on this, and I we'll see all of you guys next time.